Hi there, my name is Dr. Katie Saint, and this video is about myths about ABA. This is a topic I get pretty excited about because there's some myths out there that really prevent people from seeking treatment. And there's enough research on ABA that shows it's effective for any population, any diagnosis, any age. So ABA can really help people. But some of these myths make people believe that ABA is not effective or it's harmful, or there's just all these myths out there that are getting in the way of treatment. So I want to talk through those so we can clear the air and we can all be on the same page about how beneficial ABA truly is. Okay, so the first myth is that ABA is not backed by science. So there is a crazy amount of research that supports ABA. It actually started in the mid to early 1900s. So we're going on almost 100 years of research. And it's been done on every population. So animals, people, young, old, any diagnosis, it's effective for. And they've done so many studies that it's been replicated time and time again to the point that they consider principles of ABA lawful, meaning that if we control for all the variables, it will pan out in the same way each time. So this is huge. If we know the lawful principles of behavior analysis, we can change any behavior under the sun. We just need to account for all the variables. This is a big deal, and this gives us a lot of hope for behavior change. Okay, so the next myth is that ABA is done at a table. So some people associate ABA with what's called discrete trials, where a child sits at a table with a therapist and you go over these repetitive drills, basically. And this type of thing sometimes happens, and it does produce skills, but that's not actually that common. A big way that we teach ABA is through just natural environment. So we look for everyday opportunities to shape behavior. We pay attention to what's maintaining the behavior, and we make sure good behaviors get reinforced and problematic behaviors don't. So that table time is such a small amount of what we do. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do ABA because I don't think my kid will sit at the table. No problem. Most of what we do is playful and just in your everyday life. So the next myth is that ABA is one size fits all, that we're going to do the same treatment approach for every client. And that can't be farther from the truth. Every person that we work with is an individual, is unique, has different needs, has different strengths, has different things to work on. So no behavior plan looks the same, no treatment plan looks the same. In order to do effective ABA treatment, we need to completely tailor that to the family. So no program is gonna look the same. All right, next one is ABA is only for kids with autism. So this isn't true either. There is a ridiculous amount of research on how effective ABA is with autism, but it works for any diagnosis. It's considered the #1 treatment for anxiety. It's effective for depression, even personality disorders such as borderline personality or things like bipolar. Like ABA is effective for literally anyone. ABA principles impact all of us in our everyday life. So there isn't a population it doesn't work on. Next one is ABA is a punishment-based treatment. This isn't true at all. In fact, ABA ethics teach that we really shouldn't be using punishment procedures unless we really have to. So the research shows that punishment is not that effective. So take the example of speeding. None of us like speeding tickets, but raise your hand if you speed. most of us speed a decent amount, so that punishment procedure isn't really working for us. So, what the research shows though is that reinforcement systems work a lot better. So, typically in treatment, we're gonna do reinforcement systems, we're going to do systematic desensitization or exposure therapy, or we're gonna do skill development and all these different things way before we even consider punishment. It's rarely used. All right, next one. I can pick and choose what principles to follow. So here's the thing about ABA and its lawful principles. We are impacted by the principles of ABA in our everyday life. The behaviors that we engage in as adults are shaped by ABA, and same with for our kids. So if we don't want to follow those principles, it doesn't mean that we won't be impacted by them. So a big part of ABA is paying attention to patterns of reinforcement and punishment. So if every time I talk to my husband he ignores me, and every time I want to open up to him about my stress, if he never is a good listener and things like that, I might stop talking to him about my problems. That is a basic ABA principle. So say you go fishing, and every time you go to that spot, you never get any fish. You consistently never get fish. You're going to find a new spot. So these basic principles shape our behavior every day. And if we choose to ignore them, or if we don't want to work with these principles, then the principles are still going to impact us. But if we're aware of them, we can use them to our advantage. So it's really important to analyze these variables in our everyday life so that we can use them to help create good and productive behaviors. The next myth is that psychology and ABA are not compatible. And this isn't true either. So sometimes people think like psychology is really mentalistic and it just focuses on emotions and your past and things like that. And then ABA is just focused on behaviors. Well, that's not true. They're actually really, really compatible. But the reason there's confusion is because there's a lot of different terminology. So psychology might have one name for it, and then ABA has another name for it. I think the jargon in this field is a deterrent for a lot of people. But psychology and ABA works perfectly together, and they complement each other. And a lot of times they're following the exact same principles, they're just calling it something different. So to conclude, there's a lot of myths about ABA, and sometimes people feel like ABA is pushing people to be a certain way, or it's not letting people be individuals. But that just is the opposite of true. ABA ethics teaches that we have to investigate what matters to the client, what matters to the client's family, and target those things. If I want you to work on XYZ, but you don't care about that, we're not going to work on it. So ABA is about getting the most out of your child's personality and strengths and helping them be happy, helping them live a meaningful life, helping your family thrive and enjoy each other and create memories together. So if you have questions about myths you've heard, reach out. You know, there's a lot of bad information out there, and sometimes people have implemented ABA in a bad way, and that's where some of those myths come from as well. So please reach out if you have any questions, or if you want clarification on some of the information you've heard in the past. All right, thanks so much for listening. I hope this was helpful.